Hello, sir.
Hello again.
How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. Anything new since we
I mean, it's
spoke
been
last?
weeks. I mean, it's been weeks. A lot's happened since we last sat down. Um,
Puppy's gotten bigger.
he's a terror.
She really is. And she's so smart. All of them are Sunny's still not very smart.
No, Sunny's smart. She's just got the patience of Job. Like I've never seen a dog not murder another dog before. When it was, I would have been like, yeah, no, she deserved it.
Yeah.
No, Sunny just lets her chew on her and pull on her and jump on her and
Mauls her like 24/7, biting her, like ripping her face off. And she
like
actually does have injuries, like bleeding ankles.
Winnie is very lucky that Sunny's not a jerk because any other dog probably would have killed her by now.
Yeah.
Pepper has learned that she can dupe them both into going outside because they're dumb. And then she gets the house to herself for a few minutes.
Yeah, because she'll go to the door and paw for the door to open. So we'll go open the door, and then the other two get excited and run out. And then Pepper turns around and
Goes
goes
back to the
back under the
couch.
couch.
Yeah.
She's so smart. And she'll just do it when she gets annoyed with the other two
Yeah.
playing. She just keeps doing that. Um, but then Winnie, like when she gets bored, she just goes it because she knows Pepper doesn't like her as much. She knows how to rile Pepper up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so she will just go in front of her face and start barking to rile Pepper up. Anyway. So I was going to continue part two of, so the article was based on, so definitely go back if you missed last week's episode. This week is part two, and it's just things that we know. The article was things that we know our parents were good parents for based on our behaviors now. But I'm just kind of switching it to show what are things we can do as parents to instill these qualities in our kids.
Yeah.
Last time we left off last time with, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. And so that was really apologizing for our mistakes, right? So the next one is thank you for sharing your perspective. So it kind of is just bridging over to looking at the openness and just being able to see the world from different perspectives. I think that's really important. You know, I was just actually talking with Willow. They're doing a debate in school, and she's like, oh, I love doing debates. And I was just thinking, in one of my courses, there's a debate. And I don't look forward to it because so many students will complain that they were offended, they were emotionally dysregulated because they were assigned a position that they didn't believe in. That's a problem to me. This is higher education. This is master's level of education. You need to be able to take a 360, any point of view. You need to do a 360 perspective taking, right? This is part of critical thinking, is doing that critical analysis, looking at something at all. And it's not even a hot topic. It's literally diagnosing, right? It's should we diagnose? So there's 4 different positions, right? And so, yeah.
But that feeds into a massive problem around people's approach to the world, which is black and white, which is aligning to my worldview or not. And if you don't, you're evil and you're a fascist and you're this and you're that. When that's not at all how progress is made. It's just not.
And this is where we're stuck. We see this extreme polarization that's happened in the world. And I see it and have lost sight of this critical thinking. So how do we get kids to be able to appreciate different perspectives? I think that there's some self-awareness there, knowing what, your own sort of views are, but then the openness.
I think it comes down to, either providing them a different perspective during a conversation, right? Like giving them the ability to hear that there might be a different one, or asking them specifically what another take on it might be, right? For people to be able to understand, well, we've talked about this countless times, but Raising people with the inability to be empathetic to others or others' viewpoints doesn't mean that you concede your own viewpoint, right? And that's an important thing to know. Like, with the way things are taught now, with the way things are presented now, it is not yes and, it is either or, right?
Mhm.
There's no, people think that by, at a really basic way of describing it, people think that if they allow someone else's opinion or position to be heard, it weakens their position or invalidates it. And a perfect example is when someone says, I'm offended. You have to change because I'm offended. No, I don't have to change. I can listen to what you have to say, but I also am in a position where I can tell you why it's wrong, right? That's an important conversation for people to have because it's the only way you potentially might change your position, right? If you feel that others need to conform to your worldview, you're never going to have a worldview that is anywhere near positive or growth oriented. It just isn't, right? You're going to be, well, my dad used to have a saying about shoveling, you know what, all the time. But it really comes down to offering up opportunities to think through other perspectives. Whether you believe in them or not is irrelevant, but think it through because that will ultimately impact how you approach the situation next time.
Right.
Simple as that.
And modeling too, again, it always comes back to modeling, right? Being, oh, that's an interesting perspective. Let's talk about that. Or even just showing interest in our own kids,
Hmm.
right? Um, or coming home. I remember when I was in Georgia, right before uh, Trump took office,
Hmm.
I had chatted with a Trump supporter and had a great conversation about everything from gun laws to, the state of the states and, Trump and his administration. And I would have never thought I could have had that conversation
Yeah.
because on social media it's so polarizing
Yeah.
and hate to each side, but it really was. So I came home and I shared, I actually had this great conversation and this gentleman raised these points that I never thought of. So we're showing our openness, but then even in everyday things, I mean, this is maybe not a good example because you guys all shut me down, but just something simple like I love pineapple on my pizza.
Yeah. No, that position will never change. That's a black and white for me.
Okay. See, but this is an opportunity. And so now you've instilled that in the girls who've never even tried pineapple on pizza ever, but they think that it's the worst thing in the universe. Like I can't think of the word, but just appalling that someone would do that. They've never even tried it because you're so,
They've tried
but
it before. They had it when they were little. They haven't tried it since they're conscious human
I don't think
beings.
that they actually have. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
not to say anything, but that would be a great opportunity. If they're saying, I want anchovies on my cereal, and we're like, that's disgusting. We don't have to label that.
Yeah.
Interesting, right?
Yeah. Why don't you give that a
That's
whirl?
one way, but even what do you like about anchovies on there? What makes that so good,
Yeah.
right? I love the saltiness and I love the, but I don't know. So it's being open and asking those open-ended questions,
Yeah.
right? Rather than being like, ew, disgusting, because we make those quick snap judgments all the time,
Yeah.
right? Or that's a horrible video game, or that's a horrible, like without actually taking the time to question our kids. I
Yeah.
think that that's a big, big one. We don't do that enough. We shut kids down all the time
Yeah.
without really taking the chance to listen.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. And I think it does two things as well, right? If by asking them to explain it or give you more information, it shows both it potentially gives you the opportunity to have them think through other positions or perspectives, but it also makes them think you have an interest in what they're doing, whether you agree with it or not, right? So it reinforces that as well.
Yeah. Another quick one, I think, just helping with problem solving and doing pros and cons analysis,
Yeah.
right? Like easily if they're trying to make a decision, should I do my volleyball game or should I do a ringette game?
Yeah.
Right. So it's not quite the same as this, but it's being able to look at an issue, a situation from as many different angles as possible and seeing the bigger picture. Because I
Right.
think when we get opinionated, we zoom in and we're so narrow focused. We're focusing on one detail at the expense of everything else. So
Yeah, totally.
let me know how I can make improvements. right? So whether it's personal and professional life, we know that this is an important skill for kids to have. So, um, trusting themselves to set their goals and to achieve them, but then also looking at, yeah, how do I sort of fine tune that to get even better, right? Rather than being perfect the first time.
Yeah, I think this is something you actually do quite well is you'll have conversations with the girls around, what's one thing you wish I would do differently, or what's one thing you would like to see me do differently, right? Like you solicit that feedback from them from time to time in a safe way, right? Like in a way that you're not going to jump down their throats if you don't like what they say, and you're legitimately open to what they have to say. And you may have a reason why you won't, right? Or why you do things that way. But I think that's that's a good approach as well, right? Is to show them that from time to time you can ask for things like that. And there is no harm in someone giving you feedback and then you figure out what you want to do with it, right?
Yeah. And even things we do. So I do that, on our date nights. I love
Hmm.
asking that question because they have to answer the questions. Or even like at Christmas time, I did ask, okay, what are you all looking for? Or looking forward to, sorry. And, what's a tweak that we can do to make today a little bit better than
Yeah.
yesterday or whatever that is. But then I mean, we do this like with Ringette. What are three things that you did well? What are three things that you could work on? Or
Yep.
up to three
Yep.
things, right? That you can work on. And so doing those all the time, and I'll do it myself too. My presentation went really well, but I ran over. I still had 400
Yeah.
slides to go or whatever. So this is what I need to do to fine tune that as well. So soliciting it, modeling it, asking for it. I think that those things are,
Yeah. And that applies not just in a personal life too, right? Like it's a good habit to have as you get out older in your professional life, right? In your academic life is to not be scared of feedback because someone giving you the ability to improve is a gift that not a lot of people see, right? They see feedback as criticism when really it's not. And the more comfortable you can make your kids with asking questions on how they can improve or how they can look at things differently, the more you set them up for the ability to continually improve. I don't know how many people I've met that stopped evolving past their 20s,
yeah.
right? They're 50, 60 years old. They're set in their ways. They're typically, you know, parroting whatever negative crap is out in the world because that's essentially where they stopped trying to better themselves. Haven't picked up a book in however many years. Like that to me is all part of that, right? If you show them that feedback is a gift, that the ability to improve is a gift, and you can ask for that anytime you want, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing. And not a lot of people do it well. And you encounter it all the time with a lot of your students. They are not built for any sort of pushback. They see everything as, well, that no, why should I change? You're so rude. I can't believe it. Like some of the comments that are brought forward to an adult learning situation are mind numbing to
Oh,
me,
yeah.
right? Like I benefit from the fact, like the company I work for right now, I've made a practice over my career of soliciting feedback at different junctures. Like I'll send a note after a big presentation to people I normally wouldn't interact with and say, hey, I know this is the first time we've ever met. I'd really value your opinion on how I presented, what you thought, and specifically what I could have done better. And sometimes, like a lot of times, you just get a fluff, oh, you did great, right? But if you find the right person at the right level, they're very specific. I think you did this and this and this. Next time, do this and this and this. Our company's taken it a step further where they actually have an internal AI driven database that I can ask. I can actually take a transcript of a meeting, throw it in there and say, extract
Oh,
everything that
wow.
Andrew Stewart did, how he said it, and the responses he was given. And it'll come back and say, he did these things well. He should have expanded here. And this was typically the response from the other person in the, and it's an insanely useful tool that gets you in the practice of always looking for ways to improve. But taking that out of it, that same thing can be applied in your day-to-day life.
Yeah. Well, the top CEOs and, business people are those people who every day are looking at how can I make tomorrow a little bit better. I have this productivity planner that I often give when I'm coaching adult clients, and in it is what went well, where were there gaps, or maybe I didn't meet my expectations for the day, and so what can I tweak? One thing,
Yeah.
tweak for tomorrow. But you can do that with kids too. I'll set that for homework with families. Maybe it's bedtime. How can we make bedtime a little bit better than last night?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Or how can we get out the door a little bit easier today? with a smile on our face, right?
Yeah,
So,
totally.
yeah, I think that those things are really helpful. And then just helping them with problem solving and fixing, or not fixing, problem solving through different things
Yeah.
too, and breaking stuff down. I really value our relationship. I think that this kind of, so it's appreciation for others. I think we've actually kind of talked about
Yeah.
this in our Valentine's episode. It was all about showing appreciation for others. And even last week, too, right? Just being able to model that you are more important than actually, just to add to that, then I've had so many families where kids will get aggressive. They get so emotionally dysregulated that they break things,
Hmm.
right? They might break the iPad or phone, or they'll smash something. And then parents are all, they get so upset over the stuff
Hmm.
to the point that they put their kids down and essentially are modeling my phone is more important than you.
Yeah.
Whether my phone because I'm reading text while you're talking to me, or right, I get so upset. Certainly we're going to be upset if, I'm sure if the girls broke something of ours, we get upset, but it's in that moment,
Hmm.
it's how do we respond? And especially if it's a mistake. I know I had to learn big lessons from when they were young, right? Like spilt milk. We get so upset. Whereas we really need to be calm in those
Yeah.
times, right? And show more passion when we are. But I think just making sure that we're going out of our way, showing appreciation for them and for others as well.
Yeah.
Asking for help.
Yeah, this is a good one. I think it's a balance. I don't know that I hit the mark all the time because I think sometimes when they're asking for help, it's something I know they can do, right? Um, so just understanding kind of the situation and trying to respond to it appropriately, and asking for help specifically, right? I know myself, I'm not good at it, right? It's not a strength of mine to ask, and that it whether it's right or not, it's a hard-earned opinion from years of asking and not receiving, right? And so I've just simply taken it on myself a lot of times. And I'm aware of that. And I try not to do that with the girls, right? Like I try. Now, the difference is when I do ask the girls for help, typically they're incapable of helping in whatever the situation is because they're teenagers and they don't want to. But it's still showing them that, when necessary, because they're willing to help. If I ask, I know the girls are typically willing to help. They may complain about it, but they'll still do it, right? And sometimes it's trying to find opportunities that they can help that they see as fun, right? Like things that normally they wouldn't be allowed to do, I'll let them do it, and they don't realize they're helping. But it's also to try and build up, you know, when Maya was little and I'd be working in the garage, she'd see I was building something and come out and want to help. Well, I know she's not capable of doing what needs to be done, but I also knew I could fix whatever she didn't get right. It was more important for her to be able to come offer to help with something and do it and see the result than for me to have it perfectly the way I needed it to. So I was trying to realize, but that was something that, I probably missed a couple of opportunities early, but then figured it out. And then it's, yeah, trying to make sure that when the opportunity presents itself, get them to do it.
Yeah.
Right. And Willow's very good at it. If she sees something that she's never seen me doing before, she typically wants to try it.
Yeah.
And so letting her try it. And then, yeah, if I have to go back and redo it, well, whatever. Like, it's not the end of the world. She tried, and typically she doesn't end up liking it after about 5 seconds, but she tried, right? So just that's kind of it. Find the opportunities where they can initiate offering help or demonstrate to them that how you ask for help.
And toddlers have an inherent
Yeah,
want, right? And that's usually where we say, no, no, you're too little. It's going to take too long. This is a big person's job. And so
yeah,
we're always saying no. So then when they're teenagers, we're expecting them to help. I mean, we've crushed it,
yeah,
right? So it's definitely, if you've got young kids, keep fostering that. But even if you don't, you have teenagers, it's then showing that appreciation, right?
yeah,
Asking for help and then just showing it's worth your while to help
yeah.
because we're showing that appreciation. But I want to take this to a different level of asking for emotional help. Like if we're
Okay.
struggling emotionally, because I think that that's a big one that I would actually say I'm not even necessarily great at because, we do just power through
Yeah,
and, well, I mean, There was, I think, in one of the episodes in the past few weeks, I was talking about one day I had a really rough afternoon and I had taken Willow to the mall
Hmm.
and she knew something was up,
Yeah.
right? But I was just trying to, I did eventually apologize and kind of talk about it. And I mean, she gave a hug, but I think we do just power through
Yeah.
things. So I don't know what your thoughts on that are, which isn't great.
Yeah, I don't know. I think yeah, it's a fine line between resilience and self-abuse, right? In terms in when it comes to that. But I think yeah, it's just being open with them, right? Like I've talked before about I wasn't burdened with the perception that my parents were perfect. Like I knew they were humans and they had failings, and through that, there's a comfort that comes out of being able to know that, they might need help and they can ask for help as I got older. Um, so I think it's just showing them that, right? Like I think it's just showing them, I mean, it seems to be the answer for everything, but if you're in a situation where, if you just something as simple as you're frustrated and taking a beat and realizing that, they're genuinely concerned about you, well, ask them to give you a hug, right? Ask them to give you something that is absolutely within their ability to give and explain to them that you needed it. It was a tough day. I really needed this, right? Or in other sense, like Willow's really good when she sees that we're stressed or there's a tough day, she'll step in and just I'll make dinner, right? Like she understands that that's something that she can alleviate from us as something we don't have to worry about. And it's a help when you're having a stressful day, right? So asking for those things that they can provide and explaining why it's important and how it helps you, I think is probably a good thing.
Yeah, I do think it's modeling. Actually, I don't know why. I just remembered I had the girls were probably, I bet Willow was a toddler. And so Maya would have just been like just starting school. And I had a medical emergency. And I called my neighbor and
Hmm.
said, "Hey, if I send my girls over, can you watch them?" Yeah, no problem. And this was a friendship that I really held dear. I called 911,
Hmm.
sent the girls over before the ambulance came. And she came, my neighbor came storming over. She was so angry. Why didn't you tell me?
Hmm.
Right? Like, as the EMS are there, and there, oh, it was actually firemen who came first. They're like, you need, like, try it back off. She was so angry. Why didn't you ask for help? I'm like, I did. You didn't tell me what was going on. But that was at the end of our friendship.
Yeah.
She was really hurt. And so it's shown me that people do want to help because I think sometimes too, just like with friends and family, we don't want to be a burden. Everybody's got their own stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think that people really do want to help if they can. And
Yeah.
it makes us more human, right? And I think we can connect on different levels. There's balance though,
Of
right?
course,
But
yeah. Like you can't be overly dependent on someone either, right?
no.
Because then it becomes a burden on them that's not fair. But I think realistically, if you recognize that you're at a breaking point, that you're at a limit, and that support is needed in whatever capacity, then yeah, you got to ask for it.
And I think too, it's just doing things for others.
Hmm.
Even if they're not asking for help, because I think that as a society, we're not great. We're just like, no, no, we're fine, we're fine.
Yeah.
But if things do happen, I know that, with the girls, I can't think of a specific situation, but we have, made food
Hmm.
and taken it over, like
Yeah.
without, even though the other person's like, no, I don't need anything, I'm good. We were still just doing that to show
Yeah.
our
Just to make sure that they
support.
had something. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
So when kids can say they're proud of other people in their life.
Yeah. I think well, that's an interesting
So
one.
it's celebrating other people,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think I mean, these all kind of tie together, right? It's all coming from a base of gratitude and communication, right? Like showing kids the opportunity to celebrate someone else, right? Not to put yourself aside, but to put the spotlight on someone else, either because they need help or because you feel that they need to be celebrated, or you just thought something they were doing was kind of cool, right?
Mhm.
And um, I think the girls are good. I've heard interactions with them and their friends where they're going out of their way to make their friends feel better about something, like pumping them up a little bit, which is a good sign, right? It's them recognizing that that's probably a help to their friends and trying to call it out. I think the trick with that is making sure that they surround themselves with people that are willing to do the same,
Yeah.
right? And celebrate their wins and celebrate them. Because I think that sometimes that's 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 a tricky bit because then you can potentially become that person that's always giving, 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 and that can be draining, right? And so it's celebrating and recognizing things in others, but also understanding how important it is to have them do it for you.
Yeah. Actually, a great example of that is the volleyball this year,
Hmm.
where Willow, certainly she was disappointed she didn't make
Absolutely.
the
Yeah.
senior team, but she was congratulatory to the girls who did make
Yep.
the senior team. But it wasn't reciprocated.
No.
Those who made the senior team looked down
Hmm.
upon the junior girls,
Yeah.
right? And so it was really interesting to see that. And I mean, that's just a great example of, yeah, certainly Willow was disappointed. And there was a little bit like with us, there was a little bit of it's not fair, but to those other girls,
Yeah.
right? But I think it's going to like a genuine. I'm just thinking of the puppy. Not that I like now that I have children and puppies, I do see some correlation. But whenever I'm giving another dog love, the puppy goes bonkers.
She sure does.
She's going bonkers because the love is, she needs all the love all the
She
time.
sure does.
And that's what we can't have, right? And I have seen moments, even in our own girls, especially with the younger one who, if we're well, last year Maya was graduating. And so it was
It was a
like,
tough year.
it was just, we're doing all these things because it's a big milestone. But for Willow, she's like, what about my milestones where I'm at? There's things in my life that are a big deal too. So it is finding that balance. But I do think, yeah, modeling more and just showing the appreciation. Well, I won an award this year, right? And I focused so much on like congratulating all of the other people. And I was trying to model that. And even in my speech, I mean, I was the only one in my speech who was congratulating everybody else,
Hmm.
right? So doing those little things too, I think makes a big
It
difference.
absolutely does. But I think it's like anything, it's balance too, right? Because with that, one of the other points is making sure that they understand that, you know, well, I've said it to the girls as well. Like you've mentioned it before, like sometimes it's perceived as we love the other one more. And it's like me loving them doesn't negate my love for you, right? This is just an opportunity for me to celebrate something specific for them, right? It's not an either or, right? And so trying to get them to understand it, it's tough, right? When you're young and you're emotional and there's a lot going on, yeah, it can be seen as, well, why aren't you doing that for me? Ironically, when you typically turn the lens on them and try and do it, they push back
Yeah.
because you're annoying and go away and I don't want to talk. But it's under, trying to make sure that they understand that the act of showing someone else love and appreciation doesn't negate it for someone else or against you, right? And that's why surrounding yourself with people that are able to reciprocate is the important piece, because that's what ultimately will fuel them to do it more frequently,
Yeah.
is if unannounced someone does that for them.
Yeah. And I think as a family, just having a structured, it doesn't have to be rigidly structured, but just being able to celebrate each other and get the siblings, if there are siblings, part of that celebration, especially for their sibling. I mean, there's Mother's Day, there's Father's Day. That could be a way to in birthdays and things like that, but a special day. I was just thinking of when Maya turned 18, like Willow really recognized that as a big milestone
Yeah.
and got so excited to celebrate that by taking her sister out to get her nails
To get their
done.
nails done. Yeah.
Because Willow always gets her nails done, but mine never has in her
Yeah.
life. And so that was a big deal for Willow, like
Yeah.
so much excitement around that to do that for her sister. And so if we can find those ways, again, our brain can't tell the difference between receiving and giving.
Yeah.
So it's just, I mean, everything that we've talked about in showing that love and going out of our way. But that's it.
Cool. Good list.
All right. Good day.
Good day.